I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Many of you are so miserable in your lives, not because you don't have what you want, but because you don't know what you want. You see wealth, you see beauty, you see fitness and skinniness, and you think that that is your path to your happiness. But the only thing that you're doing is being jealous of another person's success rather than creating your own personal success. For the past year, I have been working on my own self healing and self discovery journey after a major breakthrough that I had back in April 2024, so almost a year ago, where I realized that there was a huge issue with the well being industry and basically the whole fitness industry as a whole, right? I was the kind of person before April 2024, I was the kind of person that would obsessively look at well-being videos about how to lose weight, how to diet, how to exercise, how to get all the goals that you wanted for the year, or how to manifest your dream life, right? I was chronically looking at those videos, not only as a way to find ideas and do my research on how to manage these goals or how to do these things, but also at the same time as a way to motivate myself, right? I would spend hours watching mean sport videos of like women or people telling you that you're not worth it, that you need to keep fighting, you need to like shed blood, sweat, and tears in order for you to get the things that you wanted, right? And I was the kind of person that was obsessively looking at these videos, right? I saw them on TikTok, on Instagram, even on YouTube. Like I would look out for this content, and I was so immersed into it that I realized like that I was convinced that I was the problem and that I had to do all these things and work 3 different jobs and exercise 2 hours a day in order for me to get my goals. But then April 2024 happened, and I had a major mental breakdown where I was just full on crying, hysterically crying to myself and to my partner, thinking that I wasn't good enough, that I was wasting my life because I wasn't doing what I wanted, or like I wasn't following the dream that I have always had, or well, that I have always had but never allowed myself to dream about or to actively look for it and try to follow the path that was meant for me and that I always wanted, right? And I remember after that mental breakdown, I realized that this content is not useful. It is not useful for me, at least for me. If it was for you, that's great. But I realized that this kind of content is just made to make you feel worse. First of all, I see all these videos constantly on social media of people showing you their lives, or like showing you how successful and how great their lives is, how happy they are, and how accomplished they feel, right? Like we see it in influencers, in actresses or actors. We see how they portray these idea of their life, right? Usually it's with what is related to wealth, to fitness, to beauty, and it's literally just created for us to idolize them, right? Like this is something that literally influences exist so we can idolize them, so therefore we get whatever they get, just so we can have a small piece or like a small part of their lives, right? That is the main business of influencing. And this is like the one thing that I realized in that year in April, because I was just looking at these videos and I thought, this is never gonna be my life, or at least this is not my life right now, right? And what am I looking? Why am I so obsessed with these videos? Or what is that attracts me about this life, right? And it's usually the wealth, because they portray the wealth, right? Even if it's low key portraying it, they still show you that they have this wealth. And like obviously as a working woman, I crave that wealth because I want I want to be able to afford my life, right? And to not be scared of losing my job, or terrified and getting nightmares of losing my job because then I can't pay my rent, right? Or I see the fitness, I see the beauty, I see a skinny woman, a skinny, beautiful woman, like, I don't know, in a tiny bikini in Brazil, right? I see it and it's like, yes, I crave that, because that is the example of beauty, right? And all of us are always obsessed with beauty at the end of the day, especially women, obviously because of social pressure, and the social expectations of us performing beauty and sensuality in order to attract wellness and in order to attract wealth and power. So in this sense, it's like, I realized, I think genuinely my frontal cortex definitely developed at that time, because I, out of nowhere, like literally the day after, I realized I see all these things. This is not a motivation. This is a way to make me feel myself miserable, and this is a coping mechanism, which is something that I think many of you also do. And obviously, with the rise of conservatism back again in the West and in the East as well, we see how there's also a pressure for women to perform into these conservative ideals and conservative expectations, right? Which is women dressed more feminine like, or us tapping into the our feminine, which is something that, like, I find just so crazy. The fact that there is this huge trend around TikTok or social media in general, which is like stepping into the feminine, where, like, what is feminine, and why do we think that feminine has to be weak, or has to be this sort of idea that they always portray, right? Like, that, but that is another topic for another day. But yeah, I see how we have all these ideals, or these ideals are being constructed for us to follow this path that economy wants us to have, or capitalism more specifically. And this is the one thing that I also really struggle with, and is that I see all these videos of people saying, like, how to manifest, how to do this, how to do that, but like, they always tell you all these things that they do, right? But they are always so extremely open to the wild, right? They tell you, like, oh, you have to think about your life, your dream life, you have to imagine it, you have to put yourself into this position. But it's like, that is not realistic. You're just selling this idea that if you imagine it enough, you're gonna, like, girl boss it out of it, right? Like, that is not how it works. That is not a realistic outcome, or like a realistic path, because at the end of the day, you don't have any idea how to do it, or you like, the people that are giving you this advice, they want to give you this advice so you see the videos and get motivated, but also at the same time, they don't want you to follow this path, because that is their path. That means that if you follow these steps, and then you become this successful creator, for example, that could very well hamper their own benefits, and that could damage their own agendas and their own ideas and their own success. Because if there are two people that are competing for the same position, obviously they both will get less benefits. I realized at that moment that if I wanted success, or if I wanted my own path of success, what I had to do was, first of all, knowing what success looks like for me, but also at the same time creating my own path, something that would work for me and that I could build up with it, like, in the future, right? Because if I follow someone's path, right, or if I follow someone's idea, or if I follow the vast majority of these advices, or like these women or these people that are advising you to manifest, or how to manifest your life, I can't think something enough for me, for the thing to happen, right? Like, I can't say I want £1 million house by next year. I get paid minimum wage. Well, not minimum wage, but like, I get paid fucking pennies. Are you telling me that if I girl boss it enough, or like, if I think about it enough, in 1 year I can have £1 million house? No, that is impossible, or that is practically impossible, right? Because at the end of the day, we haven't created, like, these all these paths and all this advice is just so subjective, and it's just so fluffy and woozy that at the end of the day, you know that they don't work, right? And like, we create all these ideas and all these expectations, and then when things don't happen, or they don't happen the way that they should happen, then it's like, oh, I'm upset because this is not happening for me. And then you feel even more frustrated, and then you go back onto these videos and to all this content in order to keep feeding the cycle of working towards yourself and then getting deceived or getting disappointed, and then just keep repeating and keep consuming, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what happens. Like, with the vast majority of these influencers, they always have a plans, they always have an agenda, they always have a plan, they always have things that they sell in order for you to grab onto these things and to buy these products, and then just like consume these ideals to give them money, to give them the benefit, because that is how it works all the fucking time. And honestly, as a psychologist, this is something that I find fascinating, but also incredibly sad at the same time, because like, as someone who is in this journey, as someone who has struggled with these things, with seeing their goals, or like seeing my goals not being accomplished no matter how much I fight for it, I can tell you that there are just 3 things that you have to do in order for you to slowly work on your success. It can take you years. Yes, absolutely. It probably will. If it's something that you really want, it will take you years, or it will take you decades. But if that is something that you that makes you feel accomplished, no matter how long it will take you, you will still feel accomplished afterwards. So yeah, there are only 3 things that you have to focus on. The first one is actually sit down, think and journal, and understand what you're looking for, or like what you are after, right? Because you can tell me, I want wealth. Okay, yeah, that sounds amazing. Like, everyone wants wealth, but like, what kind of wealth? What level of wealth? How are you gonna get to that wealth, right? You have to sit with yourself and actually think on what you want, or what you want to accomplish. What is something that, if you're on your deathbed, like in 40 years, or like hopefully not 40, but like in 60 years, will you feel accomplished if you have been working on this for 60 years? Or if you get to a level that you're comfortable but don't really get your success story, or you don't get to the end of the path, would you still be happy with it? Would you still be excited and feel accomplished because you've been working so hard onto getting to that thing? That's the first thing that you have to think. Like, that's the first thing that you have to think, which is understand what is your path, or how does your path looks like, and what is the end goal. But your end goal, know what other girls or what other people on Instagram and social media are telling you. Because you can say, fitness is my goal, or losing weight is my goal, but like, you are never going to have all these private chefs, all these personal trainers, all this time, money and effort to go into beauty salons, for example, to getting all the surgeries that these women are getting. What is something that is realistic for you at the moment, or that you realistically think that you can get to, or that the goal is different, like it's special enough for you to, like, that you don't have it right now, and that is something that you look forward to, and that you will still have to put effort into, but that is still realistic to you. The second most important thing is to work in baby steps, because like, you cannot, like, if your goal is to get fit, for example, you cannot be like not exercising at all for your entire life, and then getting into the gym, paying a subscription, or getting a personal trainer and work out 6 times a week, because like, you're just gonna get injured. You're gonna hate the gym, you're gonna hate everything, and you're gonna abandon it for 3 more years until you come back, because that is not realistic. You need to work on baby steps. This is something that my favorite philosopher Pitbull says: small steps, long vision, right? Short steps, long vision. We have to go step by step into our long path, right? So in my personal experience, for example, with working out, I was an athlete when I was a teenager. I was a figure skater, but roller skater for 10 years. I was competing monthly, training 6 times a week, even sometimes 7. I was putting the hours, right? And my body was fucked. My body was completely destroyed after I retired, and I literally had to take a break. I cannot exercise, or if I exercised, I just got back into the mindset of I need to do as much as I can, right? I need to get back into the shape that I was when I was a figure skater. And that would give me a lot of grief. That genuinely would make me really upset, because I remember I stopped training right after COVID, or right before COVID, and then moved to England, and I had no opportunity to work out, and I saw my physique going, like leaving, right? And it was just so disappointing. And I remember I was incredibly upset, and until April 2024, where I sat down with myself, I had the mental breakdown, and I was like, what is the point on me focusing on the past, and seeing, or like grieving the loss of my body, or like my shape, when what I can do right now is focusing on the shape that I have right now, and how can I improve it slowly. Because this is the one thing, right? People love to give you unwanted advice, or advice that doesn't really work for you, because it's just general lame ass advice, right? They always tell you, do cardio 4 times a week, or like do this many like amount of steps every day, or eat less, or do this and like eat less sugar. But it's like, okay, what if I already have like a healthy-ish lifestyle, but like this doesn't work for me because I have PCOS, which is a hormonal imbalance health issue, for example? Or what if my body is completely destroyed, and I generally cannot do lunges, or I cannot do squats because I have so many injuries in my legs, that if I start working out, and if I just keep working out consistently 6 times a week, I'm just gonna injure myself, and I'm gonna hurt myself again, and I'm gonna get into the mental health burnout that I had when I was a skater, right? So it's just like, people don't really understand that sometimes the mediocre advice doesn't work for people, right? So you have to look into what works for you, right? So for me, for example, in this sense, I had to get into PCOS or hormonal imbalance diets, for example, or like eat less of certain things, or switch to whole grain. That's something that really helped me. Things like that, right? Also at the same time, I started working out again, but started really, really slowly. I didn't do HIIT for like 8 months, for example, or I didn't do any sort of cardio, or if I did any cardio, I would dance, because that is the only, like, those workouts were the things that I knew realistically that my body could do, and that would put me into that would ease me into exercising again and not get burned out. But also at the same time, it could, like, they were easy enough on my body for me to be able to do them multiple times a week if I wanted, right? And I started working out once a week, and then once I got comfortable with working out once a week, I started working out twice a week, and then 3 times a week, and now I usually work out 4 times a week, at least an hour. So it's just like, you need to start doing short steps, or like working in very, very short increases, where it puts you out of the comfort zone, but also at the same time, it allows you to be comfortable enough with yourself. I, for example, for for exercising again, I started once a week, and then I did like 45 minutes, for example, or even sometimes half an hour, and then I started working out twice a week once I got comfortable. But that's the thing, we have to do small steps, and once we're comfortable with step 1, we can skip to step 2. But like, we need to start doing steps. You can't just motivate yourself to work out 6 times a week, or to do this whole habit and life change out of a sudden, because that is not going to work for you. That doesn't work for anyone. And then the last thing is to be patient. And this is something that I myself struggle with, because once you get to know yourself and get to know exactly what you want, and you start working on this path, on these goals, right? Then you feel like you feel like you can't wait to get the results or to see how far you've come along, because you are so motivated, or at least this is something that happens to me, right? And then you see, or you feel like the results are not coming fast enough, right? And you get incredibly frustrated, or you get upset about the fact that you're not seeing the results that you are expecting, or you see results but the results are very minimal compared to what you thought they would be. And then you get upset, you get disappointed, you get deceived, the whole thing, right? And on this, the only thing that I can tell you is that success, how I see success, or how we should see success, is by the actions that we perform rather than the results, right? Because for example, for me, I am the kind of person that always tends to abandon everything, right? Like, I get super motivated to do something, and then a month down the line, a week down the line, I just forgot about it, and I don't care anymore because of the effort that it takes me, right? Or because I didn't really think that that was for me, for example. And with social media, for example, and with content creation, this is the one thing that I always thought that I would abandon. So, okay, so maybe this is just me, but my example that I have here is that I started social media, and I started creating all this content and this YouTube channel, for example, as a way to express myself, to try to learn how to better communicate myself, because that is something that I really struggle with, but also at the same time to find a community of like-minded people that like the same books that I did, and also at the same time to promote myself, and in the future hopefully try to publish my own book and become a writer, right? That is my number one goal in the whole entire world, in my existence. And yeah, basically, when I first started creating all this content, at the back of my head, I thought, you'll see, I'll start, and then in 1 week I'm just gonna forget about it. I'm not gonna post. I probably won't be asked to do it, because it just takes effort, right? And it's incredibly difficult to keep doing things when you see no likes, for example, on social media, or you see that people are not watching your content, or that you make mistakes when that I make mistakes when talking, which is something that I'm very conscious of. And then it's like, you get constantly demotivated by the lack of results, right? And then I just had like literally a switch in my mind where I genuinely just started thinking on, I created a video today, or I posted a video today, that is like, I'm doing more, I'm like ahead of yesterday, for example, or like in my journey, I am ahead because I have done these things, right? I finished the book, well, I finished my first big draft, which I am editing at the moment, or I finished reading a book that I really want to talk about, or I posted a video on TikTok, or 2 videos on Instagram, or on Rednote, for example. The fact that I am focusing on the things that I do as a way to see them in my goals, that is something that has genuinely helped me so much. Because now I think of all the things that I do, and rather than thinking of the results, right? So in exercising, for example, I see as an accomplishment, or every week I want to exercise at least 3 times a week, right? It would be better if I exercised 4 times instead of 3, but I am content and I am happy with 3 times a week, right? And then how I view it is that at the start of the week, on Monday or on Sunday, I say I want to exercise Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then on the weekend if I can, right? And I see, or I view that week as a success if I have exercised 3 times a week, instead of focusing on how many pounds or how many kilos I have lost this week. Because at the end of the day, if I don't manage to lose all these kilos or all this weight, I'm going to be upset. But if I exercise 3 times a week, I'm going to be happy, or I'm going to feel accomplished because I have done these things. You have to view success as the things that you do rather than the results that you get from the things that you do. And something that I want to reinforce again is that all these people, all these influencers that are telling you how to do things or what is the best way to manifest your life, they are selling you an idea. They are selling you this romanticized idea of how to get your goals. But at the end of the day, you can only get your goals if you work on them, right? Like, you can't just manifest your way out to get a perfect life, because you can have the ideas. Life will not happen until you make life happen, right? That is the one thing that I want to put my emphasis in. That is, like, you will have to work for these things, but you don't need to follow all these steps. You don't need to follow and get all these plans and go to all these conventions in order for you to get the things that you want. And also, I genuinely need you to sit with yourself and journal or write it or podcast it, whatever you want. But like, I need you to understand that you have to follow your own path. Because if you see someone's life and you think, oh, I want that, do you want that? Like, do you really feel like that is your ideal of success, or do you just want that because it looks nice? Like, we need to stop making our own goals or trying to make our own life aesthetically pleasing for others, because at the end of the day, they are pleasing for others. They are not pleasing for you, because this is just selling you an idea. This is romanticizing someone's life, which at the end of the day, you just see 15 seconds of one person's video. You don't see the whole entire life, right? So they can show you like an amazing pool or an amazing garden or an amazing bikini body that they have, but you don't see how they live their life to get to all of these, or to if their life is miserable, or if they are in extreme poverty because of all the debts that they have from buying all these things. So at the end of the day, you need to see what your success looks like, or what are the things that you desire, rather than what society tells you that you want, which is skinny white body, feminine, extra feminine girl, or extra feminine personality, an amazing new wardrobe every 4 months. Because at the end of the day, that is not realistic for you, babes. Like, it doesn't matter how you look like, or it doesn't matter how much money you have. You know for a fact that this is not realistic for you, and you know for a fact that at the end of the day, you can get these things, but then in 6 months or in 4 months, you're gonna be tired, and you're gonna repeat the cycle all over again because of consumption and because of capitalism. As a conclusion, please sit with yourself, think of what you want to do, what you want to accomplish as an individual, rather than what other people want to see. And also keep working on your goals. Short steps, long vision. Like, it doesn't matter how many years, how many decades it's gonna take you to get all these things or all these ideas that you actually want. The important thing is that you do it. The important thing is that you keep working on these goals. You will be, every day, if you keep working on your things, or if you keep doing what you want, at the end of the day, you will be further away than you were when you started the day or when you started the journey. So just do your own thing, rather than looking and envying and being jealous of all these idealized lives that people have, because that is not your life. Your life is yours. Your ideas are yours. Your path is yours. You work on yourself rather than work on what other people want from you. That is all for today, guys. I know that these are not the kind of videos that I'm used to post, but I've been craving to talk about this for quite a long time, and I think genuinely it is needed in this society and in the community in general, because we have such a preconceived idea of how our lives have to look. But at the end of the day, your life is yours again. And I think being unique, being different, having different paths is what makes life beautiful and what makes life interesting and what makes people also fascinating. So please find yourself, look who you want to be, realize that it doesn't matter what other people have or what other people look like, because at the end of the day, you are you and you are valid and you are, should be, and are loved. So let me know what are the things that you want to do, or what is your path, what is your idea, or what are the things that you are working on in the comments. Or you, if you want to know more information about my journey or my path, or how do I do my things, please follow me on my social media. We can talk and I can help you as much as I can, obviously. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this has helped you, or I hope this has made you think at least. And I'll see you next week. Bye.